Hello, my name is Wade Nomura, and this is Rotary Serving Our Community. We have a lot of partnerships that we create in Rotary, and those partnerships are created in order to help people around the world. With us today, we have a special guest. We have John Kujay. John, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And you are with, and actually president of American Silkscreen, correct?
That is correct.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, John.
Well, I'm pretty much a local person. I grew up here in Santa Barbara from 3rd grade on, went to the local schools, graduated, went on to university, had a chance to travel, came back and started a company here, started printing t-shirts in a garage on the Mesa, and started a fledgling company and pretty much expanded it, and here we are 40 years later.
Great. So what got you into silk screening?
It was a fledgling industry. I had a background in printing and photography, which were electives at the high school, Santa Barbara High School. I had an interest, I excelled in them. I won a Bank of America Achievement Award, which allowed us some capital to travel on in the future. And at the time, there was not an integration of photography into silk screening, and that was debuting at the time, and I was fortunate enough to get involved with it when it was first coming out. And then that gave us a window and a bit of a technological edge in the market.
Great, great. So you actually started, I would say, slightly advanced as far as the industry was concerned. Now, have you had a chance or opportunity to keep up with the times, or is it something that's changing?
There's no question that the integration of digital into the media process has created other printing forms, and they are evolving at a very quick pace. We're fortunate that the area that we picked our expertise in high quality, exceptional resolution, halftone printing is a niche market, and that's allowed us to probably keep our position for as long as we have.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Now, in high school, by the way, we went to high school together, so
yes, we did.
Got a little bit on you on this one here. You did a lot of, I would say, like Key Club you were involved with, and a lot of other areas that are actually community-based or helping out. Was that something that was planned or something that you just went through?
I think it was part and parcel to the process. I think at the time, we were pretty much expected, if we had an athletic talent, to be involved with sports. Mm-hmm. Scouting was a big part of what I was involved with. Through scouting, their community service is expected, you know, and the weekends donation to community was there.
Correct.
And a lot of times you find yourself in situations where your friends will get you into something. So I found my way into Key Club as a process of basically who we're already involved with, either in sports or either in scouts.
Now, as you get into your professional life then, was that kind of included as part of the plan as you got into silk screening, or was that something that evolved into where you could give back later?
I think in all fairness, it's very hard to build a business, grow a business in the first 5 to 7 years. And I think in the act of growing your company and acquiring assets, putting a roof over the head of your family and your company in this area is a difficult process. And I would say we probably surfaced maybe 10 years later when we were in a position to actually have purchased our automated equipment, built our commercial building, and hired and worked through a stable set of employees.
That's great.
At that point, we had a little bit of breathing room. But, but in the growth stages, you're pretty much consumed 12 hours a day.
I can see that. Well, 10 years, getting your feet on the ground in 10 years, you did quite well. That's a pretty good accomplishment in itself, so
we worked
give you
hard.
confidence
We're
for that.
fortunate to the kind of customers we were doing business with.
Good.
We're thankful for
Well, you
that.
brought some pictures. Let's go ahead and jump into some of these pictures, because a lot of these pictures will tell the story of how much you've been involved in some of the areas that you've been able to help out with. Okay. The first picture we have is a picture.
Well, this is a camp over in San Ynez for underprivileged kids, and we were approached by a long-term friend of ours that works with a church over there, and he asked, could we contribute and help and give something back to these kids, because they're going to experience some new things with horses and with some new opportunities, archery, a few other things. Mm-hmm. So we were happy to contribute to them and give them a chance.
So that was underprivileged children then, specific?
that's my
Okay,
understanding,
great.
yeah.
And that was through Cliff Lambert, you said?
That's Cliff Lambert and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Church of the
that's great.
Crosswords. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is the Teddy Bear Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, they first approached us when this particular entity was getting started, and it's done very well. It's grown to a very large operation. But this was a situation where they were hoping to take some kids to a Dodger game,
nice.
And we just said, "We'll help you."
That is very nice.
Yeah.
Then the next picture we have?
Next two are basically, it has to do with an organization here that deals with children with some disabilities.
Okay.
And they raised money through walks, rides, etc. And so we were in a position to help them. And this is an example of where you can take a finished product, help a nonprofit, and then they can use that to either offset their costs or generate income and give opportunities to the children.
Right. Okay.
So they sent us a little thank you there.
That is nice. A very nice thank you note. Yeah, definitely
Showed
so.
who was involved.
Yeah, very nice.
This picture was for some kids, again, some challenged kids who had cerebral palsy, and this was a summer camp. So we helped them with a summer camp, and they sent us a nice thank you note.
Now, is this local?
Yeah, this was probably about 10 or 12 years ago.
Okay, and where's the actual location? I don't recognize it.
You know, I
The
don't
camp
remember where
itself.
this was. It was in Santa Barbara, from my understanding.
Okay.
But basically,
Possibly a grammar school or something, right?
yeah, it was a summer camp. I don't remember exactly where it was staged, but we knew one of the principals who had one of the children. So they approached us with a need, and we said we would just like to help you.
Now, events like this, are those annual, are they ongoing, or is it usually just a one time?
It can go either way.
Okay.
It can go either way. Sometimes if there's a relationship and you choose to contribute and they want to be involved with you on a regular basis.
Nice.
So we try to help them. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then the next one you have,
This was a lady who resided behind us when we lived in Montecito, and she had a connection to an orphanage in Mexico. And at the time, she said, I'd be willing to take some of your product down and distribute it. So the first picture was handing out product at Christmas. They had a Santa Claus. And,
okay.
and the next page was just how they distributed it through I'm not sure if it was a mission or a school. It's important to us that you just send us a picture, that make sure that the product got to the people and it wasn't absorbed or seized at the border or sold for whatever.
Yeah, right.
So we end up just having a few pictures in the company, so we just put them up there, and I scanned a few and brought them over.
Now, these, the product itself, was this specific to the project, or were these something that
No,
were
basically,
overruns?
what happens again is that in any manufacturing process, depending on how many times you're involved with it, there's a very small percentage of loss. And also, in the act of receiving your product, there's no perfect manufacturing process, even with the incoming product. So as a result, you're dealing with between 0.5% and maybe 1.5% of volume per contract that is going to that you're going to end up with. So a lot of it has tangible value if you can think beyond that and not either destroy it, turn it into rags, or get rid of it according to what the terms of your contracts are. Right. So we early on thought that there would be a higher and better use for the product.
So you actually created the model then and put that into your accounting then.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
So what we thought is can we capture predictable losses and take them somewhere where they can actually create value or opportunity.
So most of these shirts then are probably just cosmetic seconds, or?
That's correct.
Okay.
They actually have absolutely tangible use. What you're dealing with a lot of time is copyright distribution of registered trademarks, and how you address that with your customers within your contract, and also so it doesn't affect their market or their release date or create any conflict of interest with their own distribution cycles. So in the act of becoming involved with, reaching outside the country, okaying it with our customers,
right.
We met both of those requirements, and we started seeing really good results.
Great, great. Now, do these the companies, the ones that contract you, are they aware that their product may go outside?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I would guess they're willing to participate because
Actually,
of the fact that
it's worked very well for us, because one of the intangible benefits that came to us is that when we approached our suppliers, some of the major mills that distribute T-shirts to us, we said, if a project comes up, you already do this as part of your mission statement. You contribute, you give back, you recycle. Would you be willing to give us some product that we want to specifically target to a project, as long as we let you know what it is? And they've come forward and helped us on specific projects,
great.
which is nice, because you're getting help from the supply side, as well as your help, which is from the distribution side.
Great. Next picture you have is another one, I believe, looks like Mexico, possibly?
Yeah, that's correct.
or-
This was the same group. Just
Okay.
another 4 pictures that came along with the group.
Great. And it looks like a lot of product you guys were able to distribute down there. Nice.
Well, it's nice to see it going to people who need it or enjoy it or appreciate it.
Now, this picture here is a little bit older, I would say. Do you know about when this occurred, or how long ago this was?
These would have been probably 94, 95,
Wow.
96. So we've been doing it a while.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, there's one in here that'll kind of date itself here pretty quickly.
It does.
Yeah, and there it is. We get
I
to
hope
the
that's
end.
not a new card where you see in those pictures there.
This was a fellow that once worked for me. He's in the left corner, and he ended up being involved with both Christian and Jewish operations in Cuba, and he was, I believe, was taking Bibles in, and he said, if you have some shirts, maybe you can help us out. I think I can bring them in, and they'd be distributed. So I shook his hand and said, come by and we'll give you some product, and he sent these pictures back to us. And
Great.
what's interesting is the cars.
The
'cause
cars.
This is probably 12 years old, and things have changed quickly.
Yes, they
very,
have.
very quickly in the past 5 years with respect to this country.
So based on the time and era, how did he get the shirts in? Did he actually have to physically carry those?
I really don't know. What he said is he was cleared to bringing X number of Bibles or religious literature,
okay.
and as a result, he had access to these churches, and we said, well, if that's a point of distribution, let's do it.
Perfect. Oh, that is great. So that's Cuba. Okay, great. This picture?
This is some of the doctors that fly and donate their time down in Mexico, Central America, and they've come to us and have been able to take some products. So in the act of doing what they do, they've been able to hand out some of our products to the areas where they're actually working.
Very nice.
Yeah. And then this was another fellow business associate that retired, and he ended up creating a flight plan around the world, and he was flying with 3 other people and landing in different areas, pretty oblique areas way out in the Pacific. We gave him some product, and I told him he would have to send some pictures back. So this is some people on a beach somewhere in Micronesia or somewhere in the South Pacific. So,
No, that is good.
some smiling kids.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's in Africa.
Right.
It's 1991, so that goes back to the original printing in the early 90s. And
Yeah,
these are just
right.
some young kids in a mission.
Halloween, Isla Vista, huh?
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. Well, I think that was an event. So at the end of an event, if you're
Right.
you have a certain,
anyways.
it's dated, and
Yeah,
then there's no
yeah.
use, and so you want to try to do something with it.
That is good.
And I think the last page is just the ones on the left. There was I believe the story here is that there was a hurricane that went through Jamaica and that area. So then there was a group that worked with us, had distribution there. So we gave some product, and they went down there. And these other ones were just some other ones sitting on the wall at the time I scanned the pictures of the hurricane. That was about it.
Good, good. Well, one thing I have to say is that we've been fortunate to partner up with you, because Rotary has definitely been able to use a lot of your product as you do projects around the world. And I brought a few pictures with me I'd like to share with you also.
Outstanding.
This first picture that we have is a picture that was a project that went to the Philippines. In the picture, we have Diana McDermott, who's in the center, standing next to me, and her husband, Charles, also Kathy Jo Hobbs. They were actually able to put these packages together and ship those with them to the Philippines to do a Philippine project. So they're very happy to get those. I don't remember how many shirts, but it's probably close to 1,000 shirts that we ended up shipping out with that one.
Great.
The next picture we have of her is actually at the distribution area where she distributed these shirts. Along with that shipment included lights, solar lights, Unite lights. And
That's
so
neat.
we kind of partnered in, did both of those together. She said for sure they could use the shirts, and so that was the project that came about. She actually carried most of those to these sites. Next picture is the distribution and the good times after getting those shirts out and put those around. So again, that was one of the successful ones. They do come back, and I think it's almost annual now that they still move these shirts back and forth for us. So
Great stuff.
again, your product, and we appreciate that. The next picture is a picture with Hans Brand at his nursery, and at that nursery, and this time here, we needed to get these boxes from California to the East Coast to be shipped out to Zimbabwe.
I'll be darned.
And those were being boxed up with, again, solar lights
With the
in
lights.
these big plastic barrels.
I'll be darned.
And so we had to get them over there, and they actually shipped them for us for no charge with the trucks that they used to move the foliage with the flowers.
I'll be darned.
So it was a flower truck, and we filled up just about most of that flower truck. And they said, well, they got their product.
So
on,
they were running the truck east
They were
anyway,
running-
and they
ex-
gave you the
and
extra
we-
space.
yeah, exactly.
So
We
it was
asked them if
transparent
it was
so
perfect.
Transparent to transportation costs to your situation.
Right. And then the
Wonderful.
packages, the barrels that were shipped to Zimbabwe, those were also all included in
Nice.
with the solar lights. So that worked out quite well.
Yeah.
The next picture is a group that went to Mexico. This is Marty Garcia and their club, the Rotary Club of Santa Barbara North. And they actually had these shirts that they took down with them for this project. And so you had the picture of distribution and some of the shirts that they took with them.
Nice.
And I got to admit, those packages come pretty colorful. You got a pretty good mix in a lot of those. I noticed you have shirts, hats, sweatshirts,
Yeah, again,
a lot of different materials and items.
We have a different manufacturing product lines, and again, if you're doing a certain amount of volume, and there's a certain dropout rate that's predictable, then you try to find a way and a use for it. And some of the biggest problems are distribution. So your Rotary being able to guarantee point-to-point distribution and also the ability to make sure that there's no infringement of copyright or the product is not seized or sold or distributed, or the problems that come along sometimes in the third world that you might have to pay to get through certain areas. Or
True.
Those are real considerations in less developed countries. So your ability to go point to point in a bubble has been able to probably land more product in a guaranteed fashion, which helps the supply side, because they have concerns about what happens after the fact and how they're involved.
Yeah, true. We actually had issues with the other side of that too, where the people receiving it or the groups receiving it, some of them were Islamic countries, and they said that they had to approve the
Oh, you bet.
the print and make sure that.
Oh,
there
you
was
bet, because
nothing-
sometimes, you see, a T-shirt is just a platform for an idea or a concept, and it's very important to be respectful and not knowing what you're receiving.
Right,
It has to
right.
do with, our customer base after 40 years. So that would be almost a prerequisite on your side.
Exactly, which it usually is. We usually tell them what's included in
You
the
bet.
package. The next picture we have actually is a gentleman that came to us, and he wanted to move these again to the Philippines. His wife's from the Philippines, and
be
so
darned.
these shirts were probably one of the most recent ones. These just went out about 3 months ago.
These look pretty current.
They're pretty current. Tickled Pink, he's happy. They go back at least once a year, so it looks like we have another resource there for moving
Right.
these shirts around.
Yeah.
And then the next picture, actually the last picture we had, is a picture of a gentleman from Niger. And we had a group of Rotarians
I'll be
that
darned.
work with the Nomad Foundation.
Really?
And they said that they could, well, first they've been moving solar lights. And
Yeah.
I asked him about the shirts. He had heard about it. And the gentleman says, Dr. Bob Skanke, he goes, we would love to take the shirts. I go, well, we have anything from shirts to sweatshirts, whatever. And I didn't see how they would need it because they always wear these
Oh, you bet.
the clothes. And he started laughing. He goes, believe it or not, when the temperature drops below 85, they are freezing. So they use your shirts to actually layer up when
I'll
it's
be darned.
85 degrees.
I never would have thought it.
I never would have thought of it either.
You would know where all this goes.
Yeah,
would know
you
where
really
this goes.
don't know. Yep.
You never know where it goes.
So tell us a little bit more about your operations. When you talk about shirts and the overruns, what is, would you guesstimate the number to be of those shirts that are going out for donations?
Well, it depends on the volume of a lot of your major contracts. I would say, I'm not prepared to, I can tell you probably more by cases.
Okay, okay.
So I would say that there was probably between 72 and 100 units to a case.
Okay, right.
And then we give or are responsible at the end of a fiscal year or as they build up to call Rotary or to deliver to your location. X number of cases. I'd have to go back.
No, just
to say
it's been a pretty good
I don't want to give you a
load.
high or a low number. And I'm not dodging the question. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
I really
realize that.
I'd say there would be a minimum of 14 to 25 cases on a regular
That's
basis.
about what I'm thinking.
Depending again over time and
Doing
based
a
on-
rough guesstimate on what I think we've moved around, it's between 2,000 and 4,000 units, shirts specific. It seems like at least a year. So that's really helping out a lot of people. What I would say, which company, if you don't mind me asking, would be one of the ones that are, I would say, more likely to have packages that are going out to the developing countries? If that's okay to ask.
Yeah, no, it's In-N-Out Burger,
I would say In-N-Out, yeah.
And,
I've seen a lot of those.
Maui Jim,
And Maui Jam. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great.
And then, again, if you look at our customer base, we're distributed in Maui, we're distributed in the restaurant business, we're distributed in the trades. Our customer base is broad over 40 years. And again, depending on the size of the contract, you're going to have 1 to 3 units in every 12 dozen that you produce, either from the incoming or from the manufacturing cycle. And we have to be honest, there's no perfect manufacturing cycle. Your employees are going to make a mistake on a run now and again.
Sure.
And do something completely wrong that makes absolutely no sense. And you're going to go, I need to replace that immediately, and it absolutely doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that attrition is real to all manufacturing companies, and sometimes that's just what happens along the way. So you try to, our approach is try to take what could be perceived as a short-term adversity or an economic adversity and convert it into something very good for somebody else.
Exactly, which it did. It's an excellent business model you planned in there too, is to include that part of that and then make it a donation. I mean, donation specific, most people think about it, as you say, a mistake is a mistake, it's something that you can't get back, but when you give it to somebody, it's making a big difference and changing a lot of lives out there.
It's nice to see some of your pictures, because a lot of times you don't see where it goes.
That's true, that is
It's
true.
nice to have a little feedback on it.
Now, part of the requirement is that these shirts actually go out of the country, those shirts that are overruns or seconds.
Correct. In other words,
It, I guess, eliminates the market potential overlapping.
there's each company really has its own terms of contract, and a lot of them have clauses that have to do with protection of copyright and protection of registered trademarks, and a lot of them have clauses about destroying products or certificates of destruction within a certain period, and we didn't think that was an appropriate approach to what would be a viable consumer durable that might be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we came up with a different model.
And that's a great model. So you actually put into the contract then that you won't have to destroy it, but that these could be donated out.
Well, really what it comes down to is their concerns are really more about conflict of interest, someone using their goodwill or their image in an adversarial fashion, having a negative impact on their image or their company. But a lot of these companies absolutely embrace their own charities and their own fundraisers, and actually have their own foundations. So their philosophy is part and parcel to what we're trying to do. It's just a different mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a different approach.
No, again, excellent. And it seems that I haven't heard of a lot of companies like yours that actually includes that as part of the giving back, as part of the charity, as part of the contribution to helping humanity. Most of them do the destroy or...
Yeah, I really can't comment on that because we try to keep our focus on what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's a large enough project just to keep your own house in order.
That's true.
And to keep your endeavors in the correct fashion, operating in the correct fashion.
Yeah. The reason I brought that one up, though, we'll have viewers out there probably that have friends or people that are actually in the business like you, not realizing that there would be that option, those opportunities that you have. So you've done an outstanding job of creating a model. I'm hoping that the world will see. So that's
well,
a very
if we
good
look
one.
if we look at the exchange of information, there's a new generation that is making conscious choices, I believe, to be involved with ideas and concepts. They might be consuming less product, but they might be consuming it because it has a cause or an idea or has an impact somewhere. So there's I think a shift in the new generation coming up to have a different perspective on things, and there. I think the health fitness is a very real part of that group. So you see a large number of 10Ks, 5Ks, bicycle events, and they're all consuming this kind of product in the act of raising money or being involved with a cause, and every one of them feels pretty good about.
Sure.
They're choosing to be involved with those endeavors, and this is the product that's associated with those endeavors.
Yeah, very, very true. It's part of the marketing, I would guess, or anticipate, because it does highlight the event specific.
Right.
And the graphic part, as you say, it's a walking.
It's specific to that particular event or their identity, but either way, a lot of them, there's a lot of money that is raised through those events that go directly into research for diseases, for the cure of diseases, and also causes that are in society that need to be addressed.
Right. Well, we would love to be faceted.
We're interconnected. Somehow.
And love to have you in Rotary, by the way. You've done outstanding things. Heart and soul is at service, so we appreciate that.
You bet.
And with that, thank you, John, for joining us.
You bet.
And for the rest of you, take a look at those shirts that you'd be wearing. Actually, if you have a twin sister or twin brother someplace out there that's benefiting people around the world. People like John are out there, and things that he does could also be replicated by a number of other organizations and groups. With that, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.